There are several beautiful beginner-friendly crochet stitches out there that alternate single and double crochet. So many, in fact, that I often get a lot of them confused. So today I wanted to highlight the difference between two of these stitches, the Griddle Stitch and the Suzette Stitch. Here we have Mr. Griddle, and here we have Miss Suzette. And at first glance, they look the same. But upon closer inspection, you'll see that the Griddle Stitch has kind of a columned effect with its texture. You can really make out clear columns and rows. And the Suzette Stitch provides a bit more of a uniform texture, and if you squint, kind of gives this diagonal effect. And with the samples in my hand, I can feel that the Suzette Stitch is a little bit weightier and loftier, slightly thicker than the Griddle Stitch, which lays a little bit more flat and thin. And the edge of the Suzette Stitch is ever so slightly prettier than the Griddle Stitch, but that's kind of a personal preference. So let's go into exactly how these stitches are different, which is how they are worked. I'll start with the Griddle Stitch. To crochet the Griddle Stitch, you need to chain an odd number of chains. You will skip the first chain and make one single crochet into the next chain. Then make one double crochet into the next chain. Continue alternating single crochet and double crochet for each chain of your foundation chain. And you should end on a double crochet stitch. You'll then chain one, turn your work, and make one single crochet into the top of that last double crochet from the previous row. Then make one double crochet into the next stitch, and continue alternating one single crochet, one double crochet into each stitch of the row. And that is the one row repeat for the Griddle Stitch. One single, one double across the row for an even number of stitches. To crochet the Suzette Stitch, you're going to need an even number of chains. Again, you'll skip the first chain, and into the next chain, make one single and one double crochet, both into the same chain. Then you'll skip the next chain, and again make one single, one double into the next chain. Continue like this for all the chains of your foundation chain. Skip one, one single, one double, skip one single, one double. And you'll end on a one single, one double of that repeat. Then to begin the next row, you'll chain one and turn your work, and you're going to skip the top of that last double crochet from the previous row. Don't work into that stitch. Instead, you're going to work one single and one double crochet into the next stitch. That is your last single crochet from the previous row. Again, you'll skip the next stitch, which is a double crochet from the previous row, and you will work one single and one double into the next stitch. That is the one row repeat of the Suzette Stitch. Skip one, one single, one double, all into the next stitch. So as you can see, these stitches both yield really pretty results, and the main difference between them is that you start with an odd number of chains for the Griddle Stitch, you start with an even number of chains for the Suzette Stitch, and the Suzette Stitch has you skipping stitches and working two stitches into the next stitch, while the Griddle Stitch is really just alternating one single, one double every stitch of the row. And one last but important distinction between these stitches is that when you alternate colors every other row in the Griddle Stitch, you get the Houndstooth stitch. Ooh, pretty. This is my Houndstooth twist front headband pattern, and I'll have a link to a video tutorial for this headband up there or down below. Even though you now know how to work the Griddle Stitch, in order to change color like this, you have to carry the old color across the row, and I'll go into great detail about how to do that in the next video. So I hope this video helps you out in picking the stitch for your next project. I'll have a link to the corresponding blog post for this video down below, where I clearly spell out the row repeats for each of these stitches if you want to check that out at any time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!